In this video, I would like to explain difficult questions in the Realize It and with emphasis on the ADT and interface. So this will be our discussion. And in the ZyBooks, I would like to emphasize 1.6. All the other one, you did very well. Okay, now I'm going to the 1.6. 1.6 is array list ADT, and we emphasize in the Java ADT, Java array list. And okay, in the Java, we provide the multiple function of is a array list. So we say array list difference between array list and array. It is a array list is a class which already wrap the basic array, and it provides more useful functions, and engineer can directly use it. An array list, it is not real dynamic array, right? It will all called as dynamic array. And the reason it can expand the size. It can expand the capacity to hold more elements. And this corresponding to the array. Let's check array, right? So let's say we define the integer array, for example, a, right? So this is equal to 1, 2, 3. In this case, we tell computer we reserve 3 space, 3 integer space. And the first one is 1, and the second is 2 and 3, right? Once you declare this array, you cannot, we cannot assign a value to array at the index of 3, because index starting from 0, right? The maximum index in this case, it is 2. So if we assign this one equal to 4, in that case, there will be exception, there will be error. And if we define as array, right? Let's define array list. Let's define array list integer, right? And so in that case, we did well. Let's say this is B, right? It's array. And we will use the same way to initialize that new array list, right? And we can specify the initial capacity, but we can also ignore that. The reason it is this B, when we insert more elements, for example, initially we initialize insert 1 here, right? Later, if you want to add more, they can expand the companion. Expand the companion such that it can hold more. So for an array list, we don't need to worry about the capacity not enough, because underlying the mechanism, the add method, they will extend the capacity and copy existing elements to the new array. And this an array list wrapper is an array container. Although when we extend the capacity, this array has been changed. It's not the original array anymore. It's a new array. It is a new array with a big capacity, right? So this is the underlying implementation of array list. And the most important, let's say the methods, some very interesting methods. So we see get methods in the array list corresponding to get element in at the index, at the given index, set, and corresponding to you change the element at this index with this one. If the element at this index has no value, in that case there will be exception. and it will return previously at a specified index. And the size is corresponding to how many elements exist. And clean corresponding to is empty is a boolean, right? It's clear, and clear is corresponding to remove all the elements from the list. And add a new element is append this new element at the end of array list. If array list size is increased by 1, it will return true if new element was added. And remove is give the index and remove the element. And if you give the existing element, it can remove the first occurrence of element, which refers to the same object, right? So this is some functions. And then after that, in this exercise, and it emphasizes more with these functions. Let's take a look. Okay, first this one, this is create a new array, and then add, different numbers. And then this question, item list size return 8. We see that is wrong, right? Because item list is a variable, and it's hard to put a parentheses after variable. So this is a syntax error. And this one, size, we cannot put a number in the size function. Function called no parameter. This is true. And get this one, this is wrong, because we see get method, and the index of array list, the maximum index corresponding to the size -1, right? So the 7 should be maximum index. And this one is empty, removes all is wrong. And clear, which is get 0, invalid exercise. After this one, after clean, this get element at index 0 is invalid. And then let's move to the coding question. Okay, I think this one, let's move to coding question. Most of this participation activity, most of it did very well, right? So you can also try this one in your code, in your NetBeans or Eclipse, IDE tools. Let's take a look at this one, right? Insert a sorted order. Run the program and observe the output to be 55, 4, 50, and 60. Modify the add player method to insert each number in sorted order. The new program should output 4, 19, 50, and 55. Once you meet this kind of question, the easy thing to do it is you copy this code and paste in the one new class file in the NetBeans, right? And then once you put in the NetBeans, let's take a close look. So this is a play manager, which is hold players array list, and constructor create a new array player list, and add player it will use to dynamically add each given number. And here the question it is ask you to place this given number in the correct position, and such that in the end of this list, in the end, once after you finish adding this element, and this element should be in a good position. It's corresponding to after finish add players, all these numbers in this players list should be sorted. And then And this is ask us to, let me remove that. So this is looking for first item greater than player number. And so if the found higher is not true, right? And I smaller than player's size, it corresponding to, let me draw something. So it corresponding to, let's use this color. For example, you already have 3 and 5, right? Now, people give you a larger number, which is a 4. We need to put this 4 in the correct position, right? It's supposed to be here. And then in this case, we say if what you get this number, player number, is smaller than what you get this one. In that case, we need to shift this number, we need to shift this number to the next position, right? And then we will place 4 to ith position. If this is the ith position, then we need to put 4 in ith position. 5 we need to go to the I plus 1 position, right? And then in this case, it's corresponding to, we have to retrieve this ith position and add to here, then you put it here. So the order is very important in this case. For example, let's write it down here. This is the integer, right? Because this is the array list holder for generic, the concrete class, right? And this integer. So this is written integer. And let's name as item. And we said this is for players get I, right? And then we wanted to players, we need to add this one. Why? The reason it is currently the array list only have 2 space. If you want to insert 4, we know you need to make sure to have enough space. The method or this method we talk about, only the add method allowed this array list have ability to expand its capacity. So in that case, we have to use add method. And this is appending the player number to the end of the list. And also, we say this is an integer, and this is a capital integer. And so the array, the integer in the Java, the data wrapper, they have a specific function that allow convert this integer, primitive integer to integer class. This is data wrapper, do have this ability. And after that, it is we have to insert, right? We have to, once we add this one to here, 5 to this one, right? Then we have to place this position. Oh, I'm sorry. This one we should put there is not, it should be item, right? Because item should be placed here. Now, we retrieve this one, place here. Now we want to change this one to be 4, right? So then we have a players. We can set integer. This should be I to be player number, right? Okay, then this will be good, right? So first we append this item at index I, and then we change the item, it is I index, to be new given number. Now this is what we did, right? So we think, no, they said this is the number, cannot find a symbol. I think maybe I type wrong, or let's see. Yeah, the one is R is missing. Good. Now I'm going to save this one and run this code. And let's take a look.